What is up, everybody? I'm Dylan Clark, and welcome to a new series on the channel that I'm calling From Your Basement to Your Bar Gig. And this is going to be me documenting my journey as I go from somebody who just plays guitar as a hobby in my basement to going out and getting my first solo acoustic bar gig. And we'll document that process along the way. I'll be showing you what I'm doing to prepare, to get better, and offering some advice along the way on some of the things that I encounter, some of the the lessons that I learned the hard way, and passing them along to you. Hopefully this will be entertaining to you as you see my journey, but also be able to help anybody who might be thinking about trying to do the same thing. If you're somebody who is trying to transition from, that hobbyist musician to somebody who can go out and book a gig and get started like that, hopefully this series will offer some, tips to you and some confidence to you more than anything to go out and get that process started and work on, achieving that goal. Now, if this series sounds interesting to you, make sure that you like and subscribe, turn the notifications on. That way you don't miss the next episode. I'll also be doing other content on this channel as far as, gear reviews, stuff like that. So make sure you subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. It's greatly appreciated. All right, so episode 1 of From Your Basement to Your Bar Gig. Where to start? And this was a tough decision for me. Initially, episode 1 was going to be about setting goals, and I was going to talk about that. But I think it's actually better to start out in the very beginning here with an honest assessment of where you're at as a musician, as a solo acoustic player. Where are you at as far as singing? Where are you at as far as your guitar playing? Are you good enough right now to go out and play live? Is there, are there 40 songs that you have in your repertoire that you feel comfortable playing out and filling a 3-hour time slot with? Is there one song that you play good enough to play out in front of somebody? You could fall anywhere in between there, or maybe you're not quite there yet. And I think that the first thing you need to do is be honest with yourself on where you're at and, what you need to work on in order to get to that point where you do feel comfortable going out and playing, and where you have the confidence of going out and playing, knowing that you've practiced and you've been honest with yourself about your skills and that you have the potential to go out there and pull it off and do a good job. So that's what we're going to be focusing on in this episode. All right. And I think that to do an assessment of where you're at, you need to do both a self-assessment where you're, recording yourself and listening to it back and being honest about, how it sounds and, your strengths and weaknesses there. And I think it's important to get some outside feedback as well. Do you know anybody that is currently a musician that you look up to, that you respect, that can be honest with you? And this is harder said than done. It's actually pretty hard to find people who are really going to be honest with you about feedback regarding to how good you are, whether it's good or bad and what you need to work on. Most people are going to want to be too nice. And, if you give them a recording of yourself and it's not good, they're going to, err on the side of being too nice and not hurting your feelings. So you need to find somebody that you trust to be really honest with you. And I highly recommend sharing any type of recordings or anything with them. And it's, if you can find a way to email it to them and then let them get back to you, I think you're going to have a better time of them being honest with you. If you say, hey, come over and listen to this recording with me, and you're sitting there listening, looking at them like this while you're recording, it's going to be much harder for them to give you really good and honest feedback than if you let them listen to it and on their own and then kind of give you bullet points about what they think you need to work on or what they thought of it. Okay. So I think, self-assessment as well as getting some outside feedback, really important. Now, what we're going to do is actually break down a self-assessment live here in this video. Okay. We'll be playing a recording that I have of me playing, and I'll be talking about my thoughts as we go along here. And I have, a lot of recording equipment. I am a YouTuber. I have a separate gaming channel. So I'm lucky enough to have some of this nice equipment that I can record and do video and audio with. If you don't have all this, all you really need is a smartphone. Okay. You can start out with just this. Just hit the record button, record yourself playing. If you can do audio and video, great. If you can only do audio, that works as well. That's probably a decent place to start. And granted, maybe the quality isn't going to be great, but you'll at least be able to tell, am I in tune? Am I singing on pitch? Am I messing up at any parts? All that stuff. So I think that you don't need a lot of fancy equipment to start out with here. You just need your guitar, record yourself, and be honest with yourself. All right, so with that in mind, let's go ahead and jump into my own self-assessment right now, and we'll see where I'm at. All right, so here we go. This is gonna be a recording of me doing an acoustic cover of Marty Bum from the Arctic Monkeys, one of my favorite bands. And this is a song in my repertoire that I think matches up pretty good with my voice. I think that I do a pretty good job with it. I'm still haven't perfected it, as you're going to see here. But when you're doing this self-assessment, don't pick songs that you just started learning yesterday. Pick the ones that you feel good about. That way you're not going to be too hard on yourself. And you're giving yourself, like if you were going to pick songs like right now, like somebody was holding a gun to your head and said, you have to go out and play 4 songs live right now, what 4 songs would those be? And that should be like your self-assessment for the first time, okay? Now, when it comes to practice and stuff like that down the road, that's a different subject. But for this first self-assessment, I think that's the mindset you should use when picking your song. So, Marty Bum here. Let's see how I do.
Well, now then, Marty Bum, I've seen your frown, and it's like looking down the barrel of a gun, and it goes off. And out come all these words. Oh, there's a very pleasant side to you, a side I much prefer. It's one that laughs and jokes around. Remember kudos in the kitchen, yeah, to get things off the ground, and it was up, up and away. Oh, but it's rare to remember that on a date like today, when you're all argumentative and you got the face on.
Okay, verse 1. Started off a little rocky there. That part in the beginning where it's like, I've seen your frown, and it's like looking down the barrel of a gun. There was like some desync issues with me and the guitar there. I got a little bit off pitch there. That part needs to be worked on. But I kind of brought it together. I feel like overall the first verse wasn't bad. And based upon this so far, I think that, if I was at a bar and somebody was playing this cover of Marty Bum, it would add to my enjoyment of being there. So I'm feeling okay about it so far. Again, there's, I think it can be tighter for sure. Especially with the timing and some emphasis points in the song. By the way, something I've always struggled with this song is because of the British accent. I'm pretty sure he's saying, remember cuddles in the kitchen to get things off the ground. But with the British accent, it sounds like koodles. So as an American, do you say koodles or do you say cuddles? Let me know what you think about that. That's like a debate that I've been thinking about for a long time. Do you embellish the British accent when you're doing a cover of a British song, or do you, just do your American accent? That's the question that I've always wondered. So verse 1 in the books, I'm feeling okay. Again, I still need to work on it, but I'm feeling okay. Let's see how we do with verse 2.
Well, now then, Marty gone.
All right, so one thing I am noticing, I close my eyes too much. And I think there's like an appropriate level of closing your eyes as a performer. A little bit just makes you kind of look like passionate and like you're really focusing. Too much makes you look like you're scared. So it's not, you can close your eyes some, but I think that closing your eyes too much, which I think that I am in this, is a bad habit, and it's going to just not come across very well in a live setting. So something I need to work on moving forward. I messed up the words a little bit there because I have a friend named Brandy Gum, and I used to say, now then Brandy Gum. And I think that was in my head right there, and it just, I got halfway in between them. So.
Oh, I'm in trouble again on time. I thought as much.
Okay, that was rough. That was rough right there. And that's clearly a part that I need to work on, is that little like transition right there with the timing. I need to get that tightened up between the vocals and guitar, and it seems like as I'm struggling with that timing, maybe I lose focus a little bit and I get off pitch there as well. So that's a trouble spot in that song, both verses that I really need to focus on and work on.
'Cause you turned over there, pulling that silent, disappointed face, the one that I can't bear. Why can't we just laugh and joke around? Remember kudos in the kitchen, yeah, to get things off the ground. And it was up and away. Oh, but it's rare to remember that on a day like today, when you're all argumentative and you got the face on. And yeah, I'm sorry I was late. Well, I missed the train and then the traffic was a stain. And I can't be yours to carry on in this debate that reoccurs when you say I don't care. But of course I do, yeah, clearly do, yeah.
All right. Wheels are kind of coming off in the second verse, aren't they? I messed up a couple times there. And then that part right there is kind of like a climactic point of the song, and you want to be hitting that part right. And where it's like, I clearly do, yeah, clearly do, yeah. And then I kind of go into that acoustic part and I missed a chord there. I missed a strum. I didn't hit it right. And that's a part that you just have to get right in order to really do an acoustic cover. So, like I said, the wheels are kind of coming off in this second verse, aren't they? Yeah.
Laughing jokes around. Remember kudos in the kitchen, yeah, to get things off the ground. And it was up and away. Oh, but it's rare to remember that on a day like today, when you're all argumentative and you got the face on.
All right, so song's finished. We made it through. And initial reaction. Am I ready to go out and play that song in a bar in a live performance? No. I messed up several times. I was off pitch several times. I think that if I was somewhere, and I keep going back to this, but I think this is the mindset you have to have. If I was somewhere at a bar and somebody played that live performance of Marty Bum, I would be like, oh, dude, like, did you even practice that song before you came? So, yeah, I'm not ready to go out and play live. I have a lot of work to do. With that said, there were flashes throughout that song where I thought that I was pulling it off, I think that vocally there were parts where I did really well. I think that I see enough there to say with more practice, I will be able to get that song to a place where I would feel comfortable playing it out. And there's those trouble areas that I'm gonna have to focus on and really make sure I'm getting on pitch and getting that sync down between the guitar and my vocals. I need to practice those and hammer those in and get those really tight. I need to get to the point where I can play through it without messing up any of the chords on the guitar. But I do think that with practice, I'll get to the point where I would be able to pull that off. And that's okay. Like, it's like, this is a journey. And right now I'm starting at a point where I can watch that and I see some potential there in my self-assessment. I see that I can, if I'm being honest with myself, that I have a ways to go, but that I'm not going to just waste my time. I see enough there to say that I can get there one day. And, if you do this self-assessment with yourself and maybe you feel like it's worse, maybe you whatever, I'll be honest with you guys. If I would have done this self-assessment with Marty Bum a month ago, even a month ago, it would be much worse than that, and I probably wouldn't see the potential there, okay? So try not to get discouraged. The first time you record yourself, it's going to feel weird. It's going to feel awkward. But with enough practice, you can go from a song that you really struggle with to something that is much better. So, you have to identify, like, do I have potential and just need more practice, or is just this not going to work for me? And, for me, I look at that and I go to the former, where I think there's potential there. I just need more practice. Now, another thing to keep in mind when you're doing this self-assessment is nerves. You're going to be more nervous playing out live the first time than you are in your basement. So if that's how I sound in my basement, and that's how many times I messed up that song in my basement, what do I think is going to happen whenever I'm playing it live? Now, I am somebody who, like, I played at my high school graduation. I've played in front of my family and friends a couple of times. So I've played in situations other than just my basement. And I do recognize that in many ways, I concentrate a little bit more whenever I'm playing in front of people. So I think some of those mistakes, like the chord mess ups and stuff like that, I would probably be less likely to make in a live setting because I would be really dialed in and focused. But I think the singing aspects, as far as being off pitch a couple times and not, being in sync perfectly, I think it's probably more likely that I would make more of those mistakes in a live setting. You don't know, how's the sound setup going to be? Are you going to have a good monitor? Are you, all that stuff? You don't know. I have no idea. I've never done a live performance like that. So, I have to assume that part of it would actually go a little bit worse in a live setting. And so as I'm practicing and working on getting that song to a point where I feel comfortable playing it out, I'm going to be keeping that in mind. So listen, I know it's just one song, but I think with my self-assessment, I go back to this. I'm not ready yet. I have a ways to go before I will feel comfortable having even that song ready to play out live, let alone 30 to 40 other songs. Okay. So I've got a lot of work to do, but I did see potential there. And it's weird saying that about yourself, but I saw some things there where I was like, okay, yeah, if I'm being real with myself, if I can kind of get out of my own perspective and view that performance from, a person at a bar, I think there were moments there where I could see the potential. And I don't think I'm just wasting my time by working towards this goal of wanting to play out. So yeah, that's episode 1 of From Your Basement to Your Bar Gig. I've got a ways to go. This journey is going to be fun, and we're going to be documented as we go along. Episode 2 will probably be about goals. That's what I'm thinking. Setting goals, and that way you're not just practicing aimlessly. You're actually working towards something, and you can kind of measure it along the way. I think that's going to be important. But let me know what you thought about this, and try to not roast me too hard. Let me know. I think that anytime you're doing a self-assessment, people are either going to be too easy or too hard on themselves. It's very hard to be like right in the middle. That's why that third person, the person you can go to with an assessment and give them a recording is going to be important as well. So let me know what you guys think down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one.